Michael Carrick began his second debut as Manchester United manager with an impressive record. Hosting Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, his team managed to secure a 2-0 victory. United's 2 goals were scored by Bryan Mbeumo and Patrick Dorgu. Statistically, United were not dominant in terms of possession, but their well-organized defense and effective approach successfully outsmarted City. Carrick implemented an interesting tactical approach, reviving a fast and direct style of play reminiscent of the Ralf Rangnick era back in 2021. So, how did the match unfold from a tactical perspective? Let's break it down together. In his second debut as interim head coach, Carrick set United up in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Maguire, who had just returned from injury, partnered Lisandro Martinez at center back, with Dalot and Shaw occupying the fullback positions. Mainoo and Casemiro were deployed as the double pivot. Ahmad and Dorgu played on the wings, while Bruno was positioned higher up as the number 10, supporting Mbeumo, who was used as the central striker in this match. Manchester City, meanwhile, fielded an interesting lineup. Injuries to several key defenders forced Pep Guardiola to start Kusanov and Max Allen as center backs. Rico Lewis and Ake were deployed as right and left fullbacks. Rodri operated as a single pivot, while Haaland led the line, supported by 4 midfielders behind him: Foden, Bernardo Silva, Savinho, and Doku. On paper, Pep's formation was a 4-1-4-1. From the opening minutes, United were already seen playing long build-ups. They used a back 4 with 2 midfielders behind, while 4 other players were pushed forward to contest duels when the ball was played long. The defensive shape remained a 4-2 at the back. Attacks were directed into the space behind the opposition's defensive line. In one sequence, Bruno received the ball between the lines, supported by Dorgu's overlapping run on the wing, but the ensuing cross was blocked. From that attack, United immediately created a chance from a corner. Unfortunately, Harry Maguire's header struck the crossbar. He made a late run from deep, was initially marked by Savinho, but managed to block his marker, leaving Maguire free to head the ball at the far post, only for it to hit the frame of the goal. One of Carrick's key strengths in this match was United's out-of-possession phase. Their defensive shape was a compact 4-4-2 with tight distances between lines and players. They shifted collectively toward the side of City's attacks, forcing the visitors to struggle when trying to penetrate centrally and instead push their attacks out wide. City's attacking shape often resembled a 3-2-5, but this left Rodri isolated in midfield. City needed more players higher up the pitch, which pushed one midfielder forward and turned their attacking structure into more of a 3-1-6. Guardiola's attacking philosophy heavily relies on exploiting the half spaces, and United's compact central setup was clearly aimed at preventing City from creating in those areas. City did find an opening when Savinho managed to deliver a cross from the right half space, but Bernardo Silva's header went over the bar. Savinho again found space in the half space in the 38th minute and decided to shoot, but his effort went wide. Earlier, Doku had also found space in the left half space, but there was no City player available to meet his cross. Despite enjoying around 72% possession, City looked blunt in attack. This was also due to Carrick instructing Ahmad to frequently track back, turning United's defensive shape into a back 5 and a 5-3-2 structure. Doku struggled to isolate Dalot because of the consistent support from Ahmad. The absence of City's key defenders, such as Gvardiol and Ruben Dias, made their defense fragile. City continued to play with a very high defensive line and attempted to apply the offside trap. However, poor timing turned this high line into an easy target for United. Several runs in behind were made to exploit City's advanced line. In addition, City showed another weakness. Their defense often became too compact centrally, leaving large spaces on the flanks. They also tended to overload one area, creating space elsewhere, which United frequently exploited with switches of play. This weakness nearly paid off for United when Bruno spotted space on the right side of City's defense and immediately delivered a switch cross. Dorgu met the ball, but his effort was still blocked by Donnarumma. United eventually managed to exploit City's weaknesses to score the opening goal. Bruno received the ball from Mainoo and quickly slipped a pass to Ahmad, who broke through between 2 City defenders, rounded the goalkeeper, and finished into the net. Unfortunately, the goal was disallowed as Ahmad was in an offside position. The home side once again managed to breach City's high defensive line. This time, Bruno made a run in behind to receive a long ball from Lisandro Martinez. The Portuguese midfielder once again rounded the goalkeeper and scored, but the goal was again ruled out for offside. Although City dominated possession heavily in the first half, in terms of effectiveness and efficiency, United were clearly the better side. Their defensive organization stood out as a key factor. Their style of play also showed that a goal was only a matter of time. Realizing that his team was being exposed and creating very few chances, Pep Guardiola made changes at halftime. Shirky and Arelli came on to replace Foden and Allen. Arelli's introduction saw Ake move into the center-back position, swapping roles with him. This adjustment was aimed at better covering the wide areas when City lost possession. On the other hand, Shirky's presence added an extra layer of creativity. He managed to draw the attention of United's backline, creating a bit of space for Haaland. The ball was intercepted by Dalot, but his imperfect pass allowed City to regain possession. Savinho then played a through ball toward Haaland, but the attempt was successfully blocked by Lisandro Martinez. The issue of City players overcrowding certain areas was still evident in the second half. In one sequence, Dorgu switched play, allowing United to create two dangerous chances through Amad Diallo and Casemiro. Fortunately for City, both efforts were still denied by Donnarumma. Once again, the switch and cross pattern created a threat, with Bruno sending the ball to an unmarked Mbeumo, but his shot was again saved by Donnarumma. Bruno and his teammates finally managed to break the deadlock through a quick transition. It started from a free kick that was cleared by Maguire. With a slight flick, Mbeumo escaped Shirky's marking. In a rapid counterattack, Bruno drove forward, creating a 4 versus 3 situation against City's defense. Bruno chose to pass to Mbeumo, who finished calmly, sending the ball into the bottom left corner of Donnarumma's goal. 11 minutes later, United doubled their lead. In the build-up, they once again tried to exploit the side of the pitch that was not crowded by City players. The attack initially developed in a congested area on the right side of City's defense, before being switched to the opposite flank, forcing the defense to shift. A simple pass from Diallo was followed by a penetration from Cunha, who quickly delivered a fast and aggressive cross into the box. Dorgu arrived from behind to finish it. The score became 2-0. United's fast and direct playing style was clearly on display in this moment. City continued to chase the game by introducing Tijani Reinders, Ait-Nouri, and Mukasa, replacing Bernardo, Doku, and Haaland in the 80th minute. After the introduction of these three players, City increased their attempts at penetration and combination play to break into the penalty area. Reinders managed to exploit a gap on the left side of United's defense after receiving a backheel pass from Shirky. The Dutch midfielder then delivered a cross to the far post, but unfortunately no City player was there to meet it. Reinders again spotted space on the left side of United's defense, but his cross toward Mukasa was cleared by Shaw. From that same attacking sequence, United nearly scored a third goal. City's defense had not yet fully recovered, leaving Amad unmarked and with a clear shooting opportunity. Fortunately for City, the effort struck the post. Michael Carrick's side actually did score a third goal late in the second half. It began with an interception by Amad Diallo on the right. Another overload situation allowed Cunha to escape Ake's marking, and he delivered a cross to an unmarked Mount. The ball went into the net, but once again the goal was disallowed as Cunha had already been caught offside in the build-up. The match eventually ended with a 2-0 victory for Manchester United. We will analyze the match between Arsenal and Manchester United. Arsenal hosted Manchester United at the Emirates Stadium with a record of 12 matches unbeaten in all competitions. However, Michael Carrick, who had only recently taken charge and won 2 matches, managed to end that run by handing the home side a 2-3 defeat. The defense in the Carrick era has proven to be more solid, at least in preventing open play chances. You can see that the Gunners were only able to generate significant XG from set pieces. Carrick transformed Patrick Dorgu into a defensive winger who was disciplined in defense while also being sharp in attack, highlighted by his beautiful goal. Carrick's substitutions were also very precise, especially when he brought on Cunha, who made a positive impact by scoring. So, are you curious about how the match unfolded from a tactical perspective? Let's break it down together. Mikel Arteta lined up in a 4-3-3 formation on paper. Odegaard, Zubimendi, Mendy, and Rice occupied the midfield roles, supporting Jesus, Saka, and Trossard up front. Meanwhile, Manchester United started in a 4-2-3-1. The double pivot consisted of Mainu and Casemiro. Bruno played as the number 10, flanked by Dorgu and Amad, while Højlund was positioned as the central striker. Without the ball, Manchester United took the initiative to press high when Arsenal built from the back. The front pressing block, made up of 6 players, narrowed to close off central progression lanes. The 2 front pressers, Højlund and Bruno, tried to block passing lanes into the number 6 while also applying pressure on the defenders. The midfielders applied man-oriented marking, and the pressing block shifted laterally following the ball. When the attack was switched to the left, the block moved accordingly. In one situation, Arsenal managed to break through by progressing the ball to Trossard, who attempted attempted a dribble, but Lisandro Martinez reacted quickly to deal with the threat. Arsenal were seen building up with 3 defenders and 2 midfielders at the back. United's pressure focused more on cutting passing lanes into midfield and only became aggressive when specific triggers appeared. For example, when the ball was played wide, Dorgu stepped up to press. The front line of pressure tended to wait, and even though United defended zonally, Arsenal players were often marked one-on-one, both in midfield and attack, while the back line was relatively left alone. This pressing approach was combined with a low block once the opponent managed to bypass the press. United's wingers were tasked with tracking back when danger arose, and their defensive shape could clearly be seen shifting into a 6-3-1. Essentially, their base defensive shape was 4-4-2, but Dorgu often dropped deep to track Saka, allowing the back 4 to stay compact inside the penalty area. His drop also helped provide numerical balance on the flank. Another factor that made things difficult for Arsenal was United's negative transition, their speed in reorganizing defensively after losing possession to prevent counterattacks. In one clip, when United lost possession, they immediately dropped back, and roughly 11 seconds later, their defensive structure was already compact again. Even so, the Gunners were able to steal a goal through second-line runs, or because United's defense dropped too deep.
Arsenal's attacking shape was most often seen as a 3-2-5, but this required committing more players forward. In the build-up to the first goal, the attacking shape shifted, with Saliba stepping slightly higher. Zubimendi dropped between the 2 center-backs, with Rice positioned ahead of him. Odegaard appeared free in the half-space, changing the shape into a 3-1-6. Timber was also pushed higher up the pitch. Circulation then went to the free player in the left half-space, who penetrated and delivered an early cross to the far post. Although Dorgu managed to partially clear it, Saka regained possession. You can see Odegaard free in the second line because the defense had dropped deep and Casemiro was occupied helping to press Saka. Arsenal's number 8 managed to poke the ball goalward, though the finish was not clean and it deflected into the net after hitting Lisandro Martinez. Notice the players involved. Timber, a fullback, was positioned high up the pitch. However, when Arsenal tried to apply the 3-1-6 structure again, it backfired and led to a goal for the visitors. Zubimendi dropped but toward the center-back area, while Timber was about to push forward. United's press became active, with Casemiro tightly marking Rice. A passing combination occurred, and when Saliba received the ball, his passing options were closed. At the same time, Højlund pressed aggressively, leaving Zubimendi as the only open option. Saliba ideally should have passed to the left side of Zubimendi's body to escape the press. Instead, he played it to Zubimendi's right foot. This made the Spanish midfielder's control imperfect because his body orientation was already facing left, allowing Ahmad to intercept and convert it into a goal, beating Raya. The score was level at 1-1. In addition to applying high pressing and a low block, another defining characteristic of Carrick's Manchester United was their frequent use of combination play. Throughout the match, Mainu and Bruno were often positioned close together during the build-up phase. When attacking, another player would move closer, creating triangular combination patterns. This combination play was also used by other players across different lines, but the player most consistently involved was Bruno. This style of play had also been widely applied by Manchester United when they faced Manchester City in the previous match. In addition to using combination play, United also tried to win as many second balls as possible in dangerous areas of the opposition. This can be seen from the following statistics, where they successfully won second balls in key zones of Arsenal's defensive area.
For United's second goal, Dorgu and Bruno executed a quick 1-2 combination that exposed the space between Arsenal's lines. Dorgu then finished clinically, placing the shot into the top right corner of David Raya's goal. The third goal came from United's success in capitalizing on a second ball and combination play. A goal kick from Lammers was directed towards Sesko. The second ball was won by Bruno, who then combined in a triangle with Mainu and Cunha, who had just come on in the 69th minute. The Brazilian cut inside into the open space and unleashed a shot from just over 22 meters that flew into the bottom left corner of the goal, leaving Raya with no chance. United's compact defensive structure made it very difficult for Arsenal to penetrate the penalty area. Eventually, when they ran out of ideas, Arsenal resorted to their main weapon, set pieces. The primary objective of Arsenal's corner kick strategy is to disrupt the goalkeeper and create chaos in the 6-yard box. In the moment that led to their second goal, around 5 players crowded the goalkeeper, Lammers. Surrounded by so many players, he was unable to make a clean clearance. The ball fell to Marino, who had made a curved run beforehand and then poked the ball into the net. Sesko managed to clear the ball, but only after it had already crossed the goal line. This strategy was also used by Arsenal in other corner situations. However, in those moments, Lammers or United's defenders were always able to deal with the danger. The home side tried to repeat the same approach when they won corners in the closing minutes of the match. Fortunately for United, despite once again being crowded by multiple players, Lammers managed to come out and punch the ball away from goal. Although he has not yet been fully tested against teams that play in a low block, Michael Carrick has emerged as a serious challenger among the top teams in the league. He has shown that even when using a back four, he believes formations are fluid and can be reshaped into many different structures, including a back three. In the final minutes, he even brought on Mazraoui to play as an additional center back, immediately changing the defensive shape into a back five. This clearly shows his flexibility and accuracy in executing his game plan.
Michael Carrick continues his positive streak with Manchester United. In this game, the English manager managed to defeat Fulham with a final score of 3-2. The visiting team actually put up a strong fight, nearly forcing Manchester United to settle for a draw at home. However, Carrick once again demonstrated that efficiency remains the defining characteristic of his United side. After almost being held back by a late goal, United secured the decisive goal through Benjamin Sesko, who had just come on. This marked 3 consecutive wins for Carrick's Red Devils. So, curious about the tactical flow of the match? Let's break it down together. Manchester United did not make many changes to the lineup they fielded this time. Bryan Mbeumo remained as the central striker, supported by the trio of Amad, Bruno, and Cunha. Cunha was positioned as the left winger, replacing Dorgu, who was sidelined due to injury. On the other hand, Fulham also made minimal changes to their squad. Marco Silva only substituted Kevin with Chukwueze on the wing, keeping the rest of the lineup identical to their match against Brighton. In terms of level and quality, Fulham is a team below United's previous opponents, Manchester City and Arsenal. Yet, surprisingly, in this match, the London side displayed a style of play that troubled Manchester United considerably. Statistically, they had an advantage in set pieces and possession, even if only slightly. Facing Fulham's press, United built up play using a 3 center-back system. Dalot drifted towards the middle, creating an asymmetrical back three alongside Maguire and Lisandro. The home team seemed intent on taking the offensive initiative from the start, which was evident from their high defensive line. The Red Devils also positioned up to 5 players up front, aiming to dominate Fulham's defensive zone. Fulham, meanwhile, were not overly aggressive in pressing, but applied a relatively high defensive line when out of possession. Joachim Andersen and his teammates tried to trap United players who could launch fast attacks into their offset traps. The high defensive lines from both teams led to a fast-paced game from the very beginning. Both Fulham and Manchester United frequently created transitional situations during the first 15 minutes. Under Carrick, United is known for exposing the opponent's wide areas through switch play, a tactic clearly visible against Fulham. Many of United's attacks started from the wings, particularly the right side. They did not attack directly, but used quick switches to reach Amad Diallo when Fulham's defense was drawn to the left side. Lisandro progressed the ball to lure the defense to the left, then passed to Maino, who redirected it to Amad Diallo. The goal was to create a one-on-one situation. Amad then opted to cut inside and shoot. Fulham could respond well to these attacks, attempting in several instances to outnumber or at least match United's presence on the wings. This also meant they had to shift quickly towards Amad Diallo's side. Despite this, United managed to exploit Fulham's defense, particularly using aggressive players. Amad received the ball in circulation, and Cunha successfully broke through the right half space. His progression forced Chukwueze to commit a foul. The referee initially pointed to the penalty spot, but then overturned it to a free kick after a VAR review. Fulham could breathe a sigh of relief, as United did not get a penalty. However, it was from this free kick that the first goal came. Bruno's delivery to the far post was met with a confident header from Casemiro. The ball nestled into Berleno's net, giving United the lead. In this play, Cunha's movement was notable. Originally plotted as a left winger, he managed to operate on the right. In Carrick's 3-2-5 shape, 3 free-roaming players were positioned up front: Bruno, Cunha, and Mbeumo. On several occasions, Cunha exploited gaps between the defenders thanks to this role. In the second half, attacks from the right side remained United's preferred route to score. A combination of wing play, high press, and Cunha's movement once again electrified Old Trafford. Cunha delivered a cross that was blocked by Andersen, but recovered by Fulham players. However, United's counter-press forced Robinson into a panicked and inaccurate pass, allowing the ball to return to the home team. Casemiro spotted Cunha moving into the half space and delivered a no-look pass to free him, allowing Cunha to once again find the back of Berleno's net, making it 2-0.
Manchester United indeed managed to exploit Fulham's left defensive side. However, the visitors had similar vulnerabilities. Marco Silva repeatedly exposed gaps on Fulham's wings, especially on the right side, though Casemiro often managed to cover them. During build-up, this wing frequently became a target. Mino and Casemiro applied high pressing on the right side, but Fulham easily bypassed United's press through quick passing combinations, allowing Smith Rowe to switch play to the left side. In transitional moments, Fulham also took advantage of these spaces. Another key point about Fulham, Chelsea's neighbors, is their tendency to exploit spaces between the lines and in the half space when United press high. On several occasions, Fulham players positioned themselves in these zones to gain attacking momentum, receiving passes freely and facing United's backline one-on-one. Berg could progress freely through midfield and deliver passes to the right side of the defense. Fulham's ability to occupy spaces between the lines almost allowed them to reduce the deficit. Robinson made a penetration into this space, combining with Berg and then passing to Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe attempted to break through midfield but was brought down just outside the penalty box. Raul Jimenez took the resulting free kick, which hit the United wall. Chukwueze tried to capitalize on the rebound, but the ball hit the wall again. From the second rebound, Quenya managed to find the net, but unfortunately the goal was disallowed for offside. United's right side defensive vulnerability was eventually exploited. After several attempts, Fulham managed to take advantage of the space increasingly left open after Casemiro was withdrawn. The move started when United's midfield pushed up for pressing, isolating Dalot against two players. One of them, Jimenez, made a run from the far side. Berg delivered a through ball to Jimenez, who was moving into that space. Dalot appeared unable to catch the Mexican forward, while Ugarte pushed high. Maguire, the only cover, had to make a tackle that led the referee to award a penalty. Jimenez calmly converted the penalty, making it 2-1. In stoppage time, Fulham revived their hopes with a beautiful goal from Kevin Santos. Again, they tried to exploit the half space, with Sessegnon positioned perfectly. The former Tottenham Hotspur player combined with Kevin, who cut inside and unleashed a stunning shot to level the score at 2-2. Unfortunately, after equalizing, Fulham became vulnerable. Shortly after, United struck back through Benjamin Sesko, who had just come on. A gap opened on Fulham's left defense, and Lisandro delivered a direct pass to Ahmad. The Ivorian combined in a triangle with Mazraoui and Bruno. Bruno finished the move with a cross to Sesko, who successfully converted it into a goal, making it 3-2. Sesko's introduction was expected to boost United's crossing threat, and he had already tested Leno before scoring. His goal ultimately sealed Fulham's fate at Old Trafford. With this win, Carrick officially records a hat-trick of victories, winning all 3 matches since taking charge. He remains unbeaten in 6 games as United's manager. Manchester United's league position also benefited, securing 4th place right in the Champions League zone, with a total of 41 points from 26 matches. Next, United will face Tottenham Hotspur, who managed a draw against Manchester City in another fixture. It will be interesting to see how United's journey unfolds this season under Michael Carrick, and whether they can secure a Champions League spot for next season.